Hello, everybody. You're watching Smoking Hot Coffee. My name is Amul. We talk to startup founders every day about their startup. And today we got something a little different. We actually had a super fan, somebody that emailed us and told us that they listen to the show daily. And she was very sweet. And we had her come on the show. Jeff, tell us more about Tamar.
Hey guys, well, I'm Jeff Pelton down here in San Diego. Today we talked to Tamar. It was really great. The last few episodes we mentioned that we received this email. We want to make sure that we let you guys know that, and we had her on the show to talk about it. It's really great to have our super fans on. We got to do. I did a little bit of product digging on her experience listening to the podcast, how she found us, how she listens, why she listens. How she shares it, all of these things really helped us. It was great to talk to her about that, but also about her entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
And her starting to get into IT and sort of educating herself.
Yeah, it was really great. We learned a lot about how she found us, and those are important questions for us. We're trying to grow the show, and obviously getting found is a big part of that. So she talked to us about that, and she talked to us about her journey and about how she's using audio podcasts as a way of supplementing her knowledge in certain sectors and industry. She had moved from one industry to another, and she didn't know a lot about it. And podcasts are a great way of learning and understanding more about the business and about the industry without investing a lot of visual. You can be driving and listening, or you can be doing something and listening. And we talked a lot about that, right, Jeff?
Yep, exactly. So it's really great to study how our podcast is useful to you guys. We love to have that dialogue and that conversation, but also about her story. Trying to start something up and where she's at, trying to educate herself. Well, maybe she's not trying to start something right now, but that's kind of she's in the early steps of kind of where we were and where a lot of our audience is. I think kind of thinking about it, trying to get smarter. Trying to figure out how to stay on top of it and stay in touch with what's happening. So she's out in Houston, and it's just amazing. I think she's got the startup hustle to even be wanting to listen to podcasts outside of work. I mean, she's basically studying outside of her job.
Right.
So there's not a whole lot of people besides entrepreneur type hustlers that are willing to really dedicate their time to that.
Absolutely, and she asked us rather several questions because she has a friend that wants to do a startup, and so we answered those on the show, and we brought up the email, and so I think if you guys are listening to our show, and if you want to know what it's like having a fan on our show, this is it. This is the episode. So
exactly, and also some of the questions she asked us, we weren't able to answer with our own expertise, some industry knowledge that specific to apparel or fashion. And if anyone listening has any insights, we would love to hear them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, all right. So I don't want to gas on too much about this. Please check it out. There's a lot of cool stuff in the interview, actually, and definitely check us out on YouTube and on iTunes. And 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we shoot this thing daily. So it'd be great if you guys can subscribe and check us out live.
Yep, and feel free to reach out to us. info@smokinghotcoffee.com is our email address, and our website, obviously, smokinghotcoffee.com, where you can find everything we do.
All right, here we are again, a double episode for today. It's very unique. We're having Tamar, who's our super fan. She emailed us and wrote this awesome, glowing email at a time when I really needed it. And I can't thank you enough, Tamar, for coming on. It's so awesome to have you on.
I'm really excited to be on. Really. Awesome.
Oh, we're really glad you can make it. Through a couple schedules.
I feel like Mel from Flight of the Conchords.
That's awesome. That's so great. Flight of the Conchords. I love that show. It's a great show, by the way. Anybody who hasn't heard it's a great show. Anyways,
I gotta go back and watch the episodes. I love the music.
Yeah, and the music. Yeah, and those guys are.
It's a great comedy.
Yeah, it was a good show. All right, so we were talking briefly off camera about your journey and about finding us, and tell us more about have you thought about being an entrepreneur? I know we talk about tech and we talked to a lot of entrepreneurs. What's your feeling about that?
I've done a lot of entrepreneurial things throughout the years. So, like I mentioned before, I've been a landlord. I've owned some apartment buildings and a commercial building, and then I have had a business before, a small business, and then in my last gig, I was contract, and I basically, developed my whole territory or region, South Central Texas, and ran that business. I hired my own assistant out of my own pocket.
So you had your own crew. It's almost like a little mini startup. Yeah.
Kind of, but I had a company that was supporting me with the back end, right? They did the billing, and they did the accounting part. They collected from the vendors and dispersed the money out, They had a order processing system in place. So
Right.
some of those things, those challenges, those are some of the things that I just don't know that I'm ready to take on
Right.
at
All
this
that
point.
infrastructure,
So
all that stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
Back end headaches, the
right,
HR,
yeah.
making
So
sure all the employees are happy.
Right. So, do you believe like a
there's
one?
something nice about just having to go out and develop, and just build.
Yeah.
Hmm.
No. Absolutely. Yeah. So, how did you find us? Were you just stumbling around on iTunes? Like, I'm just curious.
Well, I wanted more education about IT since I've only been in technology for 16 months. It was like October of 2011 when I moved into technology. There was a lot to learn, and the first 6 months, I just did a lot of learning directly on the manufacturer's websites and then just being in conversations with the prospects that I was trying to develop business with.
Right.
But then I really kind of had a general understanding, but I couldn't really go fast enough. There's not enough time during the day for me to sit down and read a bunch of white papers.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
really an auditory learner.
Right.
And so I don't own a television. I don't like to really watch videos of stuff. Not if they're going to be too long. I've just got too much to do.
Right.
So I just downloaded the podcast app and I started searching for podcasts. And I had a meeting with one of my prospects. He told me about some podcast that he liked that was had a somewhat similar name to yours. I looked it up. I listened to it. I really didn't like it. It had a lot of chit chat that was about nothing.
Okay.
And then I happened
Okay.
upon techpodcast.com.
Right.
And I loved the name Smoking Hot Coffee. And I was like, wow, I got to check this out. And so I listened to a couple, and I loved that it was about startups. And so everybody was pretty excited. I mean, the startup people are supercharged about
Right.
whatever they're passionate,
Yeah.
about
Absolutely. Yeah.
their product, right?
Yeah.
And then you guys just kept asking them like really nitty gritty questions. I mean, sometimes you almost make them a little uncomfortable. They're
Right.
like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know if I should tell you this
Yeah,
because that's my secret sauce, right?
Right.
You're
Right.
gonna take my
we tried
mojo.
it.
Yeah.
But then, I really loved that they kept talking about how the way they get investors and the way they get people on their team, they sit down over coffee. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly where
Yeah.
the name came from, Smoking Hot Coffee.
Smoking
You're
coffee.
having your virtual cup of coffee with your
Yeah.
investor or
Yeah.
with your team right
Yeah.
there on your
Yeah.
show.
That's it.
So you
Yeah.
guys loved it. So, yeah, that's how I found you. It was a total accident, stumbled upon it because I didn't like the one my customer recommended.
Wow.
Cool. Well, we really appreciate you telling us how you found it, because we are constantly trying to reach out and get more people to listen. But I think the approach that you've taken, how you found it, incorporating this education into your daily life is really tremendous, and it speaks to our audience of entrepreneurs and passionate people who are they don't get enough of their day job,
right.
or they want to supplement with the stuff that they can't get from their day job and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. It's awesome. You know what? We're inspired by our guests all the time. And it's inspiring to hear your story right now, actually. It's really great. I love the fact that you're just like, I need to learn. I don't have a lot of time. I can just listen to this on the side, and I can still be picking up all this stuff. It's a great idea. And it totally
I
works.
spend about an hour and a half with you guys in the morning.
That is so
I listen
great.
to you while I'm getting ready in the morning. I get home from the park after a run, take a quick shower, and then while I'm getting ready, I just listen to your show. And sometimes I even, I back it up and I repeat it and I jot down some notes because I want to share it with somebody.
That's so
Cool.
great.
Yeah, no, that we appreciate the most, even when you can, like you mentioned, I think noticing like, hey, my friend could probably use this episode. There was something in there for them, or it's very close to their industry, because we try to hit a lot of different topics, and you never know when something is going to really strike home.
Yeah. So I have a friend who's starting like a fitness type business, and so I shared the podcast that you had with Spree the other day because I wanted him to be able to put together like a virtual team and not tax the team that he already has in place.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you shared that one. Yep.
And then I shared you had some that were about like badges and icons and loyalty, and I shared that with one of my customers who works at a big oil and gas company, but he and one of his the people on his team, they started an app that has to do, it's also a fitness app, but
That's great. That's
shared
great.
it with them.
You know what, Tamar, before you go on, I was going to say, Jeff, can you segue into the email so we can just actually quickly talk about that email? Because honestly, one of the reasons why Jeff and I want you on right now is we want to answer these questions live to everybody else as well. and because I think they're meaningful questions. What do you say, Jeff?
Sure. Do you want me to pull it up, or should
Yeah,
I just read from it?
let's put it up. Yeah,
Okay, let me see if I can get that.
if you don't mind.
No, it's fine.
Okay, awesome. Let's do
Yeah,
this.
it's good. It's all true.
All right, here we go. All right,
This is
so
this is our inbox, by the way, with our label of our true fans.
yeah, this is our label. Yeah, you got our label today. So listen to your show every morning while getting ready. I'm addicted. When I first read that first sentence, I had to do a double take. I was, what? Is this for real? Is this a joke?
Yeah, let me just jump real quick before Amul gives the commentary, the whole thing. I saw this email, I think, before Amul, and I forwarded it to him, and I said, I was going to call it out as Amul faking it.
Yeah.
Because you kind of like checked off a few of the boxes that Amul and I were literally talking about like a day before.
Yeah.
I was like, it'd be really great if this or that, and you were just like hitting them like one after the other. It's like Amul trying to pull my leg here.
Right.
But,
He thought I was pulling a prank. Yeah.
I mean, you really did make our day by sending this. So.
Yeah, it was really awesome. Yeah. So basically, you say you have a friend that needs assistance, and looks like he or she is capitalizing on a trend here. So what was the first question here? Is there something like Odes for apparel designer, that industry? And as far as I know, I don't think so. I think it's a great idea of being able to contract out questions to experts in different sectors. So there should be a fashion like Q&A for all the fashion experts that you can pay or maybe charge for their expertise.
I don't know of anything specifically that does this. I even asked my sister's in the fashion industry, but she's just graduating from college. But she didn't know of anything like this off the top of her head. Usually, the bigger companies are going out and searching for these designers. I don't know, Amol. Do you think they hang out online, like on Dribbble or anywhere that they have portfolios or other grassroots ways of finding them?
I mentioned in the follow-up email that one of our interviewees that was still kind of forming, and we interviewed them pretty early on, so we didn't get a chance to publish it. But they had us, remember Bliss, Jeff, if you remember, they had a social network of fashion designers, and it was like an e-commerce site. So I thought that would have been a great one. I don't know if you got a chance to check out that tomorrow.
I haven't had a chance yet.
I
shared the information with my friend, and either Friday of this week or early next week, we're going to sit down and check out some of the information.
Awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. They had all these up-and-coming fashion designers publish their work on this kind of like a Pinterest type site. It was very good. So.
Yeah, so there's probably going to be more of this stuff up and coming. I haven't seen anything, and Amul and I are in the digital media space, but we're starting to see a lot of the trends take off to the physical space and non-software spaces. So I'm sure this will happen. I'm just trying to reach for where it might be. Like I said, there might be portfolio sites and those sorts of things that bud to help find these people.
So
I figured it wasn't too far off to ask you about it since you had a couple of fashion app people on.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was worth checking.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll throw it out there to our audience listening right now. Like I said, I reached out to my sister who's fresh in the industry, but maybe there's some experts out there that know.
Absolutely. So, all right, so you're asking, the next question is who to recommend for logo design outsourcing. And so this one is a tricky one to answer because I happen to be a designer myself, and there was a big startup in the design niche called 99 Designs, and there were some designers that really took offense to anybody outsourcing design because they felt like they were cheapening the industry, and then there were others that didn't care.
A big part of 99 Designs, I think, for the designer point of view, I think there's actually a website or a whole group that's no spec.
Yeah,
they don't want to work on speculation. They're doing the work, and they may not get paid for it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So it went philosophically against that whole thing, but honestly, as an entrepreneur, sometimes you don't have a lot of money to spend, and you need options, and that they're an option. So that's why I think I forwarded that on to you, and hope that really works out for you guys. Let's see, what else? What's the next one? My friend is in marketing.
99 Designs is great. I think wasn't it even like Twitter or someone got their logo off of a service like that early on. It's a great way to get some early logo designs. And you get a lot of options, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, what'd you say, Tamar?
No, I just said, wow, that's amazing that Twitter used that initially.
Yeah, honestly, Tamar, this is a big trend we're both seeing, is that if there is a way for people to work at home doing something electronic, there'll be a marketplace for it online, so you can sort of hire that person. And we're seeing that trend in delivery, like any kind of groceries or anything you need done around your house. This is a big trend. A lot of people want the work. So, what do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I'm stretching to get the designers out here, or the apparel designers and more stuff like that. But certainly, all the digital goods are
Yeah.
on these marketplaces. Fiverr is another one that you've
Yep.
sent me to
Fiverr's another one.
for
Yep.
some logo work, especially when you're doing this stuff early on. Uh, don't think you have to spend more than five or $10, right? You can,
I
because then you can try 10 logos for $5 each.
I
What do you
would
think?
disagree with you, Jeff. I'm kind of
Oh,
in the
okay.
design
You've come on a
snobby.
180 from there, or
No, no,
what?
no. I'm a little bit on the design snob side. I believe you should pay a lot more for that kind of stuff, but I do
Oh.
understand that entrepreneurs need options.
Hmm.
And if it
Well, and
was just
especially early on, right? Because you can always keep iterating and keep focusing and say, "Oh, I like this, but I want to,
yeah,
I
and
want to
then
pay
I want
five
to
hundred
pay
dollars
somebody a
for it
lot
to
more
be
money.
polished."
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with you. So let's see. The next question is, where can we find manufacturers, companies that manufacture activewear in the U.S., preferably in Texas? So this one, we did an interview with Globule, and these guys basically, have a network, have a way of connecting with people in China and other parts of the world. I don't know if you got a chance to watch that tomorrow. Did you happen to watch that one?
No, not yet.
You know
It's
what?
been rough. The last 10 days have been super busy.
Oh, really? Okay, that's fine. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
Yeah.
But
No, that's a
after the
good one though, Amol, because yeah, Globial, it's like a LinkedIn for suppliers and buyers.
yeah, yeah.
So it's global, which is great, but you might also be able to look in Texas as well.
And so they've got trending products down there, and they've got apparel as a tag. Now, of course, these aren't in Texas. A lot of these guys are in China, so that may or may not work. But
And I think, didn't you send something about Alibaba?
oh yeah,
Did
I
you
sure
send
did.
something
Yeah,
to
I
that?
sent Alibaba.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I had seen that. I'd seen Alibaba when I went to China at one point with in my old my past life
Okay.
with a couple of my manufacturers. So I'd seen, I don't know, Alibaba like sponsors of some of the big shows out there.
Oh, that's great. What did you think of the site? Did you check it out?
No,
Okay.
I'm sorry. I just haven't had, with the
No.
holiday, with the 4th of July
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
holiday, there was so much to get done before the holiday.
No,
So
it's
I
totally cool.
will.
It's totally cool.
I'll get,
After the show, you have to watch this episode. Now we're putting you on the spot.
I will. I'll do my follow up. I promise in the next week or so.
You've got to catch up to the
I'm,
last
I'm
40
kind of
episodes.
waiting on my friend too, though, because it's his business,
Oh
and
yeah.
so we
Right,
can
right,
really
right.
look at some
No,
stuff
absolutely.
together.
No, you're absolutely right. All right, cool. So let's go to another question here, Jeff.
Okay. Was that? Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Okay, so you were thinking about volunteering your time with us. You're in biz dev and relationships. So tomorrow, this is the question that I really want to talk about because it helps us out. What do you have any suggestions? What are you thinking? Is there anything you could do?
Well, I mean, I've been sharing you guys with as many people as I can, but something that I just looked into recently is meetups.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of meetups that go on here in Houston, and some of them are around tech and startups. So I started doing some inquiry around there, and it seems like during the summer there's not as many meetups. Most of
Right.
them have to do with like drinking and partying.
Gotcha.
So there aren't really a lot of like tech and startup meetups. But I've started putting the word out, asking some people. I saw there's a woman who's a professor at Rice that I saw that she had RSVP'd to a meetup, I think, at the end of August that has to do with tech. So I
Okay.
reached out to her and asked her, if she'd been, if there were any other startup activities that she thought maybe I should get involved in. And so I thought through those startup meetups, I could put the word out
Right.
about your show
Yeah.
and see, if I could help you curate some other guests.
I think that's awesome. Jeff and I were
Yeah.
just talking about meetup, right, Jeff?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great thing. We're so comfortable here at our desks in our native, safe little bubble. But
Yeah.
I'm trying to do my best to get out to more and more meetups. Summertime's a good time or bad time, like you said, for some of them. People take vacations and whatnot. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's a great way to go. Spread the word and keep educating yourself about the community and whatnot. How is the Houston startup scene down there?
I don't know because I haven't been
Okay.
to any meetups yet, but I know they have. There's something I think it's called TXRX, and so I think that that's like a Texas startup. I guess that's like your prescription for
Yeah.
startup or
Prescription.
something
Oh,
like
really?
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's
So,
cool.
Yeah.
yeah, so it seems like there is a startup movement here. We have the Bauer Business School or the Bauer College of Business. It's at the University of Houston, and they have the #1 entrepreneurship program in the country
Oh,
now.
wow.
So I would assume that through that program, there are some startups being born.
Right.
Oh wow, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, so we're always trying to keep an eye out on incubators and places where we can find hot startups to talk to. The early founders and the raw startup teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'd be great if you find people at these meetups that you want us to interview. We would love to.
Well, we're a big engineering city, and
Yeah.
then we've got the medical center, and it's so cheap to do business here. There's got to be a bigger startup community than I even can imagine. So
Right.
I'll find them for you guys.
Very
Great.
cool.
Love to hear it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I
you-
don't know what came to mind for you guys around business development. What were you thinking?
Well, I was thinking about getting an RV and we can just all travel the country and like maybe even somehow maybe turn the RV into a plane and then do the show from the plane and then land in another RV and then drive around.
That sounds awesome. You guys are going to stay in the RV, and I'm going to go out and say, "Hey, check out the RV."
Yeah, you could be our full-time evangelist. Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And
No,
then I
I
thought,
think it's great getting you to just spread the word. Anytime you bump into people that have the problems that we hopefully are talking about, these nuggets of lessons that we learn that are sometimes hard to get to, but we really appreciate that. And we're continuing to try to figure out how to grow this, and we would love your feedback. We did a little bit of a product interview from you to see how you listen to the podcast,
Yeah,
how you
yeah.
found us. That is very helpful for us, and that's why we're so grateful that you even reached out to us to begin with.
yeah.
Some of the other things, again, I'm kind of speaking to our audience at large, but if there's people that you think we should interview and all that kind of stuff, helping us connect out to more people is really the most helpful thing. When you tell your friends about our show, is really super helpful.
Yeah, that was huge.
Because finding the podcast can be the hardest thing.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I just stumbled upon it, so I can't imagine. I don't know how other people find you.
Yeah, so that's a big mystery to us, and we're hopefully going to figure it out, or we'll just end up going and getting a day job.
Is
exactly.
there's no like SEO for podcasts?
There is. I
There
guess.
is, yeah,
And we're
there is.
trying. It's difficult, though, depending on the keywords that people are looking for startups, and on the podcast side, like the podcast directory is pretty full of business podcasts from people who are trying to give business advice that come from the professional media side of things that, coming from magazines and bigger publications. So it's a little bit hard for us to battle the top 10 podcasts in the directory, and sometimes hit those keywords, but we're definitely trying.
Maybe I should send you a list of all the words I've put in that bring up nothing.
Yeah.
Because it's really annoying. I'll put in a word, and nothing comes up, or like two options come up, and the stuff that comes up is old.
Right.
Okay.
From like 2008 or 2010. It's
Right.
like, that's not
That's
perfect
a
anymore.
great
Why
idea.
stop
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Okay. If you ever run across any of those, just fire a quick email with the keyword, and we'll know what to look for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll
it's
have
pretty
to go
smart.
back and put them all in again to test it, because now I can't necessarily remember. But I was
Right,
looking for like big data, business intelligence, business analytics,
Business
stuff like
keywords.
that.
Yeah.
Tons of words that just didn't bring up anything.
Wow.
Interesting. Yeah. So this is why I'm so curious to interview you about your usage, because you're an early adopter. Podcasting's still kind of early days, and we're trying to figure it out. It's mainly dominated by iTunes for the audio podcasts.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Stitcher Radio? Is a popular app for mobile phones for people to listen to podcasts, kind of akin to the AM radio experience that was missing until Apple released that podcast app. And then we're also experimenting with not experimenting. We're on YouTube, experimenting sort of with the video format, and it's the Wild West out here. So we really appreciate you giving us the feedback, the data points.
Good. You guys mentioned showing stuff on the screen periodically, and so I think about it. I'm like, do I actually need to see that? Do I need to, pull it up on YouTube? I can just visualize what they're saying.
Right.
And the other thing is that, for me to do a video on my phone, it doesn't always have the same. The bandwidth constraint, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. It gets like hiccups. It's not like if I run it off my desktop or my laptop. So I don't want to watch. I just want to listen.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
No,
that's a really good point, and I hadn't even really thought about it until Jeff brought it up one day, and he's like, there's a lot of people that don't want to watch the video; they just want to listen to it. We should be
Well,
doing this.
initially I was like, yeah, by the way, I'm going to publish these as MP3s. And
Yeah.
so I had to remind you after like a week or so, like, oh, yeah, you got to speak to the mind's eye.
Yep.
And we tried to do our best job of saying, do we do a decent job of speaking what's on the screen when we're talking about it? Or do you feel like or you're like, what are they talking about right now?
No, I think most of the time you talk about what it is. You're pretty good about that. But
Okay.
it's going to be your whole like public radio audience that likes to listen to the podcast instead of watching it on YouTube.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.